Right, this movie is all about introducing you to Flash. Now, Flash can be quite a confusing program to begin with, but with practice you'll get used to it and finding out what all the shortcuts are and all the parts involved in using the program. Right, when you start it, you'll find that it produces a similar screen to mine. You'll probably have links to tutorials over here, which we probably won't be using. Down here we'll have open recent items. It will show you files that you've been working on just recently. Yours will probably be empty, as this will be the first time that you're using it. There are some new different types of files that you can create using different scripting languages. We're always going to be using ActionScript 3 and mostly creating our files from templates. Now we're going to be using, if I want to create a new file, I'll click on advertising and you get a list of common flash sizes that appear in advertisements. Just for convenience, virtually all the time I'll be using 300 by 250 pixel medium rectangle. I can access other categories by using these other files. I'm just going to select the file, click OK to start. Right, what was grayed out to begin with is now becoming active, and you can see there's a number of parts to it. There is the grey white document right in the middle, surrounded by a grey space. This white space is the stage, and just like a stage in a playhouse, this is where all the action and animation takes place. We can change the properties of the stage through the Properties tab, and while I'm here, if you get another option, you might get a layout similar to this or any other kind of layout. Go to the workspace and choose Classic. I prefer this as old school, and so I'll always be using the Classic workspace, although you can rearrange these panels in any way that you like. But to get back to the stage, we can set the properties of the stage by using the stage color, frames per second, which I'll come to later on. On the left, on the opposite section, we have the tools that you can use, and you can gain an idea. If you hover over a symbol, pen tool, text tool, you'll get a tool tip telling you what it's for. Okay. And back to the properties panel, I've got another couple of other panels here where we can change colors, swatches. This will choose you to align, transform, and the library, which we'll be using. But the main thing that will be very, very important is what we call the timeline. Now the timeline controls the animation, and every object that we put on the stage is on a separate layer so that we can control it independently from anything else on the stage. So let's set up then a simple animation, but before that you notice we've got menu headings here with keyboard shortcuts, open, recent, and various others, and you can see that sometimes we have to slide to a sub-menu where we might have other keyboard shortcuts. Now it's going to be important that you learn some of these keyboard shortcuts, because it makes your own workflow much more efficient and quicker. But anyway, let's begin. We'll click on frame 1 of layer 1. I'm going to rename this layer as simple text animation. Now click on frame 1, select the text tool, and I'm going to click in a box and write something like sample text. Click on the select arrow and position it somewhere on the stage. Now you can see the properties has now changed. I can click on the color and choose other colors. I can change the size. I can change the type of font. Okay, call it stencil. And I have various other things that we can change with paragraph, options and filters. Now we'll be using filters later, but let's go back to our very simple animation. So I position the text, and if we go back to our document, 24 frames per second, we can decide how many frames per second that the action takes place. So 24 frames will be 1 second. 48 frames would be 2 seconds worth of animation, and so on. Now, by increasing the number of frames, the smoother the animation, the slicker it will be. The downside of that is the larger the file will be. So it's a compromise between quality of animation and file size. 24 frames is about standard, and for most cases we'll be leaving it at that. Right, now on frame 24 I want my movie to last 1 second long. I'm just going to press F6, and F6 puts in what we call a keyframe. Now it's a keyframe because that's when something happens. So I'm going to click on the text again and move it down the page. So in frame 24, tells me I'm in frame 24, it's there, and in frame 1 it's there. To get it to move smoothly between, just right click, and I'm just going to choose a classic tween for a little bit of old school animation. The red bar is the playhead, and as you drag to the beginning we can see what the text is like. If we want to preview the movie, we press Control key and enter, and the file will open up, and you can see we've now got a simple looping animation. This is what it would look like in a web page. In the series you're going to see lots of examples of high quality Flash movies, both on the web pages and both that you'll be creating. But before then it's important to fill in a Flash cheat sheet so that you can be familiar with how to get the toolbars back again, how to enter and create keyframes and blank keyframes and empty frames, and most importantly, if you do close any of your toolbars, that you know how to get them back again. So if we don't have any properties, timelines, anything like this, you just go to the window and you can select your timelines, your properties and so on. Okay, or press F4, but I'm just going to open all my tools, and I think the last one was properties. So if you do lose any of these panels, you now know how to get them back again. And so make sure, see if you can find out the keyboard shortcuts so that you know how to quickly access some of the options in making things happen in your Flash program. So best of luck with that, and after that we'll be getting on with making real life animations involving text and the effects that we can apply to text.